Get up here.
I'm all right back here.
Okay, all right.
Hi, Bob.
Listen, we got Kurt Busch in here. He's fighting to get into the chase. And I guess I'll just throw it open to you, Kurt. Just had a brief conversation with you out there. All comes down to Saturday night. And what's your mindset right now?
You know, a few months ago, we needed to put ourselves in position to control our own destiny, and we've accomplished that. Is it the cushion that we wanted? No. We have only a 6-point cushion, but at the same time, we can look forward and see that Biffle is 9th in points, and he's only 8 points ahead of us. And Logano, he's 10 points ahead of us. So there's plenty of position still to gain moving forward, and that just gives you the motivation to know that, you know, it's not necessarily about defending what position you're in with the guys behind you. So we've had our shares of strong runs. We've had our shares of misfortunes. Are we a chase team? I believe so. I think we've performed at levels that are comparable to those that are locked into the chase, such as the top 5 type numbers, top 10 numbers, laps led. Just the general statistics board has us in good position. But the most important is the overall points tally that we have, and that's got us in 10th, and it's got us with a 6-point cushion. So I've been in this situation before, but it was to win the championship. It wasn't to race into the chase. It seems like each year that I've made the chase, there was plenty of comfort, plenty of room to spare, as far as like having a poor finish and the help of somebody else, we would still get in. This reminds me of that 2004 battle when I went into Homestead, where I had a few points positions as far as a cushion, and we were able to bring it on home and deliver. So that's the same mindset now, is, you know, not necessarily defending the points that we have. It's still about gaining on the guys that are ahead of us. And right now, Biffle is had speed, but he hasn't produced the results. And so I look at him as being a guy that we could try to pass in points. And even Jeff Gordon can look to pass him in points and put both of us in on not necessarily the wins. And Biffle would still have the win to fall back on. So many scenarios that can play out, but we're looking ahead. We look at we can gain those 8 spots, 8 positions off of Biffle, and advance ourselves into the chase that way.
Is that, are you racing Biffle? Is that who you're racing Saturday night, or are you racing Gordon and Kozlowski and the other guys without wins?
There's plenty of ways to look at it, but we want to say that Gordon is where the focus is, to make sure we stay ahead of him. But if we're going to do that, we may as well look at trying to grab the same amount of points and on Biffle and race our way in off of him. But we'll see how it shakes out. Last year, Gordon was a lap down car. He got the lucky dog at a sequence or a pit stop sequence in the race that allowed him to put 4 fresh tires on. And Kyle and his team, they were leading the race, I think, or they were running top 5 and had no need to pit at that point. Those are those moments you got to look for to make sure that somebody's not going to get 4 fresh tires on you and then advance on the next sequence. So that's what makes Richmond so exciting. Is tire drop off here is so dramatic. You have to make sure you keep an eye on coming in to get tires.
At the end of last season, where did you expect to be with Furniture Row Racing coming into Richmond?
You know, the team was 25th in points last year, and now here we are on the threshold of making the chase. And to say that we, you know, had it as a goal and that it was going to be, you know, an easy task was not necessarily the case. And even with the way the season started, I think we were as low as 29th in points. We had our work cut out for us. And when we unloaded at Texas, I think that's when we turned the corner. That's when we had speed. That's when we had just a newfound rhythm within the team. And we turned into players at that point in the season.
How much will you want to know Saturday night, like where everyone else is running? How many updates will you want, specifically about Jeff Gordon?
Well, if I'm running up front, then that protects us very easily from not having to add up points to know where Gordon is. 15th is what I'm going to call the threshold for us on when things aren't necessarily guaranteed because we have to stay 15 points ahead of Truex, who's got to win and who can move into the top 10 in points. So as long as we're running up front, which we hope that we will, we ran this Richmond race earlier this year in 3rd place most of the night. We finished 9th after one of those crazy restarts at the end. So we feel like we're going to be in good position. We tested here earlier this year and we ran well. We're going to start with that same setup. So I feel like we've positioned ourselves well, and it's not necessarily a matter of keeping track of where the others are unless we're starting to fall into that 15th place range.
Does it become more of a little bit of a chess match, like you said, with figuring out who's where and whatnot, as opposed to running a conventional race where obviously the different thing, there's just more variables here because of the positioning and because of people trying to qualify?
Yeah, there's a large amount of variables here. With the tire drop off and when you pit and when you don't pit, there's a lot of times when you're running top 5 and you don't pit because you want to protect that track position. But for us, we have to keep track of the 24 and see, if he's in that tail end of the lead lap scenario, he's going to come in and put tires on. So we have to keep track of that. Best case scenario is we're both running, top 10, and there's no way for him to gain a lot of points on us if he's running right next to us 6th through 10th.
Is there any time during this weekend when you can just get behind the wheel of the car and only think about how good am I running and not think about the chase at all?
Well, when we start practice tomorrow, we'll see our speed on the speed charts. We hope to qualify well. I'm hoping for a good pill draw. The random bingo ball can dictate a lot of your weekend if you have to go out early here at Richmond. So we hope we get a good qualifying draw to go late. That'll help our qualifying chances. Then that blends into a better pit road selection. But it's the same scenario. You just get in the car, you practice, you race hard, and you see where the points fall out at the end. But if we can control our own destiny here by being 6 points ahead and put the pressure on the others on having to do something that puts them up against the window of having to gamble.
Kurt, how do you balance when to be aggressive and when not to be as aggressive in your situation?
My situation is protect the race car, make sure on restarts we don't find trouble, that we spread out, and make sure that we don't have any fender benders or a chance to poke a hole in the radiator or get hit hard from behind. I have to do my job to protect the car to get to that 3/4 mark through the race to see where things are.